Okay, my wonderful, outstanding friends, this is Roger, Mudfossil University. We are going to go through my book I wrote 6 years ago or so about mud fossils and Velikovsky, which was crushed by the academics, as mud fossils have been. And he wrote Worlds in Collision. I wrote Minds in Collision because their minds can't accept it. Now, I'm going to go through the they give you an introduction to the book here. It's 99 cents. I think I had to make it something, and so I made it 99 cents. And this goes back. This is Roger Spur. That's me. And I did this, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago, in a response to the fact that nobody would listen to me. And I made my case on here, and then I just let it lay because it would not be accepted, and it wasn't. And now may be the time. So let's take a look at what I wrote then. Okay, mes amis, we are going to go through mud fossils, Velikovsky, Minds in Collision. Now, I have a new way I am going to present this stuff. I just sort of ramble on like this. Well, I am going to interview myself. And I will have arguments with myself. I do that all the time anyway. I just never recorded it. But we're going to record it. And so, just going to have a good time. This is, what are you going to do? You're just going to have a good time. Now, this I discovered long, long, long ago. And I got upset because nobody would listen. So I'm going to whine a little here and there and here. Now, here's how it starts out. This is a little introduction to the whole thing. Introduction to mud fossils, Velikovsky, and Minds in Collision. Here's how I started. I had a dream there were giants all over the earth. They were as tall as mountains. And then all of a sudden, this is where Velikovsky comes in, Jupiter gave birth to Venus. Jupiter, the planet, gave birth to Venus in the normal vaginal way out of the giant red spot. And after birth spewed into space and fell on Earth as red powdered blood and stones, which was the placenta, the umbilical cord, and the placenta was milk and honey. There were giant chunks of meat in space, 750,000 times bigger than us. Comet 67P, look it up. Comets of meat streaming barbecue gases as they flew by. That's what the comas are. They're barbecue gases. Astronaut suits smell like steak in space. Meteorites have veins and arteries, which they do. And I have some here with blood in them. Water had a memory, and light was actually a fluid, which it is. Particles, they're a fluid of particles, fluiding all over the place. It's just like we're spinning through a soup of watery light. The sun fed the solar system with electrons, which it did. It is right now. It's feeding the sun. We have too many. What a dream that was. Then suddenly I woke and realized I had been dreaming. The dream, though, was actually reality, because it is. And the reality I had been living my entire life was actually a dream. What am I saying? The meat in space, living universe dream is reality. Everyday reality we are fed is an unreal fantasy. A constructed universe, very much like a dream as far as I can tell. You decide for yourself which universe you are in and which one is reality, and does it really matter. I can tell you right now, we're not in a reality universe. Some of us are just now waking up from a dream that we thought was reality, and crazy as it seems, the real universe has meat in space, literally does. Every bit of it is biology. It has rivers of milk and fields of honey from byproducts of planetary birth 3,500 years ago. 3,500 years ago, Venus was literally born from Jupiter. This is what Velikovsky recorded. Everywhere on the earth it said the fiery comet Venus was born from the feared god Jupiter. And it swung through the universe, through the solar system, caused our planet to literally stand still. It talks about this in the Bible and all the ancient texts. It caused floods. It caused havoc. It caused all of this red blood to fall down on the earth. It caused the stones to fall on the earth. It caused the manna to fall on the earth. And from what I can tell, if you look up Revelations, I think it's 13, It says she stood with her feet on the moon giving birth, and a red dragon came to try to eat the baby, and God swooped in and took his child up to his throne. So now we know these giants were big enough to be standing on the moon giving birth, and all of that stuff could, 750,000 times minimum, that one Comet 67P. It's just unbelievable, but it is now, has to be believed because it's true. And I just go on and on and on and on here. And I started to question everything Facebook group, which I had to leave that. There's much more to fossils than simply curiosity or monkey bones. I can read on and on about this. Hold on, let me just get to the important parts. Now, you see this? The earth is a living creature. There is no creature that will not defend itself when assaulted by those with disrespect, which we have done. We exploited, we dominated, we oppressed, and we destroyed the earth. Could the earth be turning on us as we have done on it? Are we turning on ourselves for these reasons? This was in 2016 I wrote this, Minds in Collision. Without an open mind, you are doomed here between these pages. I hope you find this compelling in a number of ways. Just a suggestion, when wild claims backed by something physical that can be easily validated or debunked. They could validate this or debunk this in 1 minute, and could be quite meaningful, drags you in a most compelling way. I suggest you follow and see where you are being dragged with both your own eyes and your own mind wide open. Because if you listen to Yale or any of the rest of them, you are doomed. You will know whether you should go or stay there. If you find out it's just nonsense, you go back to where you were happy. If you're told not to go, then you should know to go there fast. They tell you, don't listen to me. Don't talk to that Roger. He's crazy. He's insane. You're just going to confuse yourself. He's a nutcase. Let me tell you something. That bridge is going to be burnt, and the books will be burnt as well. And that's exactly what they did to Velikovsky. Here's what Velikovsky's archivist said. I have been asked by the compliers of the Velikovsky archive to briefly describe the present condition of Velikovsky's unpublished manuscripts entitled In the Beginning. He went back to just like I did. As Velikovsky explains, parts of this volume were already complete in 1940s. This is like nice stuff that was complete long ago. Same crap. Originally formed part of Worlds in Collision. The present manuscript also incorporates material written for a volume entitled The Test of Time. Now listen to this. It dealt with the new information on the planets coming from the space probes and contained frequent allusions to the earlier catastrophe. This work will probably never see publication, and it never did. And I just talked to a guy, he sounded a very brilliant guy. I said, you ever hear of Velikovsky? No, never heard of him. Nobody has, because of what they did to him. All right. Now, you will soon be aware of this author's effort to rectify this, and I absolutely will. This is me, this author. I will rectify this, and I will get him known in history as a hero. I hope Mudfossil changes this. Justice is done, and reality becomes reality. This is the manuscript archives. Whoops. Where did I go? All right, I'm going to correct this. This is what I wrote this book for, and then I just put it on a shelf, never told anybody about it, and now it's time. Now, Mudfossil's been completely scientifically verified every way possible. I discovered these in Middletown, Connecticut in early 2000s, not sure when, but years ago. It's 2016 now when I wrote the book. Since then, many thousands of mudfossils have been discovered, completely researched. I have had DNA CAT scan tests performed, completely validated specimens. These are anatomically, sometimes perfectly preserved, exact copies of the original creature's body parts. Exact. Like this lung, DNA certified. That's a lung. You ask any autopsy guy or any doctor, or look in any book that shows lungs, and you'll see the lung. All this stuff has been verified in every single way. Now, these are anatomically sometimes perfectly body parts. Only body parts have been found so far, but they are plentiful and exquisitely detailed in most cases. Some are giant humans and have been DNA tested conclusively, 100% DNA of modern humans. It's 100% mitochondrial DNA. They didn't do the father's side. Mitochondria is the mother's side. And we only tested for 2 regions in that mitochondrial DNA, which were absolutely certain 100% the same as human mitochondrial DNA. So it's from that line. Whether it's a little bit different or not, I have no idea. But these 2 regions, he said 100%. Now, mud fossils are primarily a result of massive devastation and copious amounts of creatures dead at the same time. They're all dead and flat. Preservation is excellent due to mud and wet conditions during the Great Flood. The right amount of salt in the water, a long extended flood period, impacted in mud, encased, nucleophilic substitution, which means the molecules invaded and the transition metals in here bonded in both ways to attach and make all of this stuff stable that normally in your body is continuously working its way around changing molecules. That's what happens when you die. It has to stabilize or rot. Now, preservation is excellent. What was I saying? Mud fossils are primarily from this massive flood. Preservation excellent due to this. This is written about in all ancient myths, and that's what Velikovsky did. He went back to where they had all of these historical texts housed in museums, libraries, carved in walls. He was a Israeli historian as well as being a physicist, and he was a contemporary of Einstein. They know each other. And Einstein died with Velikovsky's book open on his dresser or on his bed when he died. They found Velikovsky's book, and he in his later age said, I wish I had listened to Velikovsky. Velikovsky was right about everything. Einstein was wrong about 100%. Now, it was all written about. Yes, I said wet conditions preserve. Everybody says, oh, they're wet, they're going to just rot. No. They preserve much better than sandy soils, and researchers are looking for scraps of bones, and mud is where the meat is. All right? The meat turns into stone. It's like this bone here. I have a bone here running around here. Well, I got them all over the place. Never mind. I've shown them so many times I don't need to do it anymore. The granular nature of porous sandy soil allows oxygen to invade. Oxygen is the primary reduction agent in organic decomposition. Fossil researchers have simply not bothered to look in wet soils because they assumed it would destroy raw organic material. Here is the real funny thing. The scientists are right. Dead stuff in the air and moist condition rots and goes away to zero quickly. It just becomes particulates, mud and bits. Did you see air in the last sentence? Dead stuff in the air and moist conditions. You won't see air or oxygen when we talk mud fossils because we're under the mud. Decomposition in the air for sure makes things disappear, but not in mudslide victims and under these floods. And the entire earth was a virtual mudslide after the Great Flood. It was all it was mud and water and slushing and all that. I had a dream there were, did I do this already? No, maybe not. I had a dream there were giants all over the earth. They were as tall as mountains. Then all of a sudden, geez, I think I did this. Maybe I didn't. Jupiter gave birth. Yes, I did this. Suddenly I awoke and realized the place I was in, I'm sure I did this. Maybe I didn't. I've been looking at this a while. Velikovsky was right, and I have physical proof that supports this historical record, exactly with the chemicals and the time, and they're not empty theories. It's maybe time for others to wake up. I am lonely here by myself. Why is this mud fossil thing just now being found? It has been ignored, really, as to spectacular, because it's too spectacular. I fully understand the spectacular nature of my claims. They're just ridiculous to the average person. Examination is what I ask. That's all examination. from the educators. I am sure many in the past made the same claims I'm making, but were destroyed for being so feeble-minded to even consider such thoughts. And that's correct. That's exactly what would happen. I would be destroyed. I would lose my job. I would be told that I was an idiot, and everybody would laugh at me, which everybody did. Even my own family, they still do. 10 years later, even now they know I'm right, but I think they're mad that I'm right. People don't like to be wrong, and these people that have their life invested in telling other people what to do, or they'll fail them and ruin their lives for not saying what they told them to say, feel pretty bad. I hope they feel pretty bad about this now. They should. They should have paid attention when they had a chance. And now it's time for them, I would have to say, to give the money back, especially Yale. Yale was the absolute worst. All right, Immanuel Velikovsky, and my experience and many others. I focus on Velikovsky because he claims made are really exciting, and his denigration so public and vicious it was. Now, I wasn't public because they couldn't denigrate me and to get away with it, because I had the proof. Velikovsky had the theories. He knew what had happened. He had all of the history, but they just said, oh, those people were writing all nonsense. That's not nonsense. That's the foot of a human-ish creature. That's not nonsense. That's the head of a goose. This isn't nonsense. DNA isn't nonsense. That's a DNA-certified human lung. And it is time for them to admit what they've done. All right? They attacked him so viciously. The academics, they made him take his book off the bookshelves. It was on the number one of the top book, what do they call it, the bestseller book list. Number one for 11 weeks in a row. The academics said, if you don't take this off, we'll never buy another book from the publisher. So they said, no, we're going to have to withdraw the book. He was so open-minded and such a great researcher and so far out there on a limb leading to reality that it was too much for the dominators and the bullies in academia. But not for me, because I live in a real universe by myself almost. I'm really almost by myself for 10 years. I mean, literally, I'm not kidding you. If Velikovsky was still alive, he would be my neighbor there, my friend. I guess that's the only place I'd live was next to him. When I refer to a friend, I really mean it. It's not possible to speak to someone in a dead universe. They talk of the Big Bang and CERN, etc., and matter as dust and dead, never alive, rocks and particles. How did it come alive? I know that is not correct, and say that. Result, one less friend. I started with less than most and now have less than even I thought possible. I have no friends at all that I could talk about this. I talked to a guy this morning about this, who was hopefully is going to start a school. He was the only one, and he said to me the same thing. He said, you know, I've been doing this kind of stuff for years. He said, I can't talk to anybody. I can't talk to anybody about it. You're the only one I've been able to talk to. And I said, I'm telling you, brother, it's back at you. Same thing. All right? You'll understand how to scream Yahoo can stop all of us from being crushed. It worked in the past. Find what I speak of in his great historical work. This is links to his work. Worlds in Collision, 1950. It was a masterpiece. 11 weeks on the bestseller list and forced by the publisher to pull it. Immanuel Velikovsky. Read the accolades. Then think of the misery they put this guy through. They destroyed him. News flash to academia. Things change and learning requires examination of unexpected discoveries such as Mudfossils, such as Velikovsky, with vigorous scrutiny, not hide in the woods, not hide behind their little ivy-covered walls like Yale and Harvard and all the rest of them, hiding, literally hiding. Why? Because you in academia are now selling your teaching what has been proven to be incorrect. You're literally, what do you think about fraud? Who would go with fraud on that? If they know that, I presented it to all these people. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but fraud sounds pretty accurate to me. These physical specimens I refer to are completely validated using the latest and the most severe scientific standards. This is the DNA test that shows the tested specimens were human. Here, I extracted the stuff from them and sent it off. and it came back, the results were human. Some were giants and one was modern size. They all came from the same 12 by 12 foot hole, and this area is littered with specimens. And then I have all these videos and I have the DNA results. Whoops. Where did I go back to here? This gets confusing. Anyway, I couldn't find a reason for it, but it's my nature to understand who feels what and why. This was talking about Velikovsky. I try to put my feet in his shoes, and they are literally in his shoes. I wear his shoes. And I put myself in any shoes that I can, and I try to be fair. I'm fairer than the ones I encounter who despise me in general, it seems. They despise. I literally despise the things that I say with the most nasty looking wrinkled up lips. In these other despiser shoes, facts are the only consideration, as I like myself better than most despisers and consider my IQ to be substantially higher than the low double digits. So I looked for the reasons. All right, so I'm not an idiot. I want to see why is this the way it is. I always try to find a reason, and I did. My research is a death nail to the science that is currently accepted. Actually, multiple nails. Academia is not pleased, despises me. Mudfossil literally destroys science through blood and guts. Living universe, not recently taught. What do I do here? Okay, living universe, they're not teaching that in my neighborhood. Veins and arteries in all rocks and meteors and comets and meat in space. This news is not well received. It obviously will make some feel foolish, I suppose, but that is not my goal. I make jokes and pokes at the ones responsible, the bullies, but this is a simple matter of being truthful. All they have to do is look, and they can dismiss it or accept it one way or the other. I have the specimens, I have everything to back myself up with. If they can deny it, but with all of their fancy little tests and things, they can't make me do all these. I've already done these things. What do they want me to do? And this is what happened. Everyone asks, why don't you take it to Yale? You're right down the street. They are. They're 20 miles down the street. I begged them. Right? Among the tests performed, 3 DNA tests, positive for human DNA, 100% certain, over 100, well, there was about 100 base pairs according to the lab, 100% match, all negative controls are negative, large quantity of DNA. They said it was very substantial, and the other results that cannot be challenged scientifically except with another test. They have to come up with their test to test my stuff. I've already tested. I have the specimens, and I welcome that. Yale refuses to examine my evidence for years, and that's back in 2016. They are only 15 minutes from the find. It's right here on my property, completely ignored by Yale and all others in academia that I have tried to communicate with. All right? And that was dozens. I am not liked there. I was put on a spam list just like that. DNA was found in large quantities. It was positive human, and some were giants. That's the killer. That destroys everything they say about evolution, and there was no giants. People were all nonsense. They were all silly people. Well, we got a lot of thinking to do. You would think discoveries would be challenged. They challenged it. They would scrutinize it, wouldn't you? I did. That's what I thought. But it was a little too much, and why? They were giant human remains. That's why. Some that were DNA tested from a deep vascular fracture I created with a steel chisel and carefully prepared the specimens. The lab was Helix Bioanalytic in Michigan. I sent the stuff off to them. They only analyzed what I sent them. If I was a liar, then I was a liar. I have the stuff here. You can analyze it. It's all done easily now. I worked closely with the owner of the lab and was deeply involved with the process. Took a course on genomics at Johns Hopkins in genomics so I could really speak with true knowledge. My professor was Stephen Salzberg. I was thrilled because he was supposed to be the top expert in ancient DNA. And that's what he told me too. The course was very good about the physical molecular coding and makeup of DNA. Well, what's it made of? I want to know everything. I want to know everything. Professor Salver very good at responding to my questions during the course. We emailed about his work on mammoths extensively and such, because I want to know everything you want to know. And it was very interesting. I mentioned T-Rex blood that was being discussed, and he related to me that the T-Rex blood controversy was simply bad science. And he apparently was involved in exposing that bad science, was his statement. When I asked Professor Salzberg from Johns Hopkins genomics course I was taking to comment on my work, and I sent him hundreds of just all kinds of things. Well, not hundreds, but several papers and some videos, 3 DNA tests, some CAT scans. I received my answer back in 8 minutes, and it was nasty. Complete dismissal, impossible, very, must be, can't be, impossible, wouldn't be. He was obviously did not give any scrutiny whatsoever to my work. None. Zero. It's fine, but in 8 minutes, if he can do all that work in 8 minutes, he's pretty damn good. It was dismissal, and he was quite demeaning. I wonder how deeply he worked on the T-Rex blood. It's no blood there, nothing there. Forget about it. Just go home. Dismissal, denial, incompetence is what it is. The work on the T-Rex blood was completely valid and very courageous. I think it left its mark on all those involved, but the dismissers, like my professor, this guy here, Salzberg, by the way, he has gone dark as his practice. He just stopped communicating once he knew I had everything was real. Never a fact based on my physical research. He offered, as all academics do, no answers. Simply opinions irrelevant in the case because I had the evidence. Scientifically tested, beats his guesses. I have the emails. I have all the emails about it. So if they want to try to say I'm lying, let's talk. And I have these are all the things. Maybe use this link if you can't get into the academic papers. These are all the papers. CAT scans were extremely detailed, best equipment available. I had the top CAT scan people in the world. Jesse Garant and Associates do this. And they did it for free because they knew what I had. They wanted to help as scientists. Not this people that are trying to teach us, they're not scientists. They're out to extort money from kids. All right, more Mudfossil evidence adds up with the help from real scientists. The CAT scans were generously donated by a friend of science, Jesse Garant and Associates, Michigan and Canada. They have the equipment. They scan more than mushy tissue. They scan racing car engines. They do work for Rolls-Royce and I think Pratt and Whitney, and all of them, all the top things. And they look for defects in everything. I have the rocks and the details and vascular works of bone transition, apical tufts, skin densities, connective tissues, all this stuff very clear. Advanced equipment, skilled techs. It's not a simple button push, and there are settings and skilled knowledge. They are craftsmen. These people were absolutely phenomenal. You ever need to have anything CAT scan? Jesse Garant and Associates. Just straightforward business. They didn't say any word about anything on my stuff. We'll do the CAT scans for you. Boom, done. Case closed. Have a nice day. And I was afraid really to give them many accolades because the people that did the DNA, they went after them. He actually told me not to use his name anymore. And I said, no, I paid for the test. I'm going to use the name. I'll tell him I extracted the stuff. He says, they think I took the specimens right out of the rocks. I said, no. I never said that, ever. And so I want you to know, I was the one that extracted the specimens, not him. I sent the extraction to them. They checked it. Anyway. Jesse, nicer people cannot be found on the face of this planet. Better equipment does not exist that I know of, and more professional and courteous is not possible. They are light in the dark for me. They were absolutely Almost makes me want to tear up how nice they were. I worked with Jim Burchell on that head that is shown on the cover of the book. And we had that CAT scan down in Texas, University of Texas, absolute disaster. It ended up with police and lawyers calling me, telling me to never contact them again. I'm not kidding you. And Yale was even worse. They didn't have lawyers and police call me, but they were just absolutely non-responsive, and everybody said they're right down the street from you. Peabody Museum, those are the people. I said, I know they won't talk to me. They said, well, if they won't talk to you, that's because you're an idiot. Click. Every single one, 100%, said the same thing. You're right down the street from Yale, take it there. Won't see you. See you later, idiot. I must sound like a terrible complainer and whiner, but I'm telling you, if you'd have gone through what I've gone through, this goes back years and years and years and years. And it's still going back today. I'm still really outside of everybody else now. The Mudfossils is coming into its own realm, thank God. But I'm still on the outside of it. It's been taken over by fringe groups now, basically. Anyway, I had a bad experience down there. Then I contacted Jesse, and I talked with Fabio, the nicest guy you ever want to meet, working with Jesse. Everything I've done was at my expense and literally alone, as nobody thought I was sane for many years now. I did the DNA and all these things, but I couldn't afford CAT scans. Money obviously is an issue. I'm not flush with money. I was talking to experts with extremely technical and expensive equipment run by highly trained specialists, and it's not free where I come from. Fabio listened. I asked for help from them, and guess what? Never expected the wonderful, magnanimous response. Not just one, 7 CAT scans they did for me. Expertly done. Absolutely phenomenal. 3D, everything you could ask for. And, that's a ton of money if you had to pay for that. I can't afford that. I think 7 is more than enough, can be expected, and it should be more than sufficient to seal this case. You can't present enough evidence to academia because they don't care. They're not being realistic. They're being, basically, in this case, I can't see any other way to present it other than fraudulent right now. If they can't see what's in front of them and accept their own methodology, the only reason they won't accept it is because it's giants and I am not within their system. Even if I was, they wouldn't accept it. That's my take. I could be wrong, but I'm going to tell you right now, until they step up, as far as I'm concerned, somebody should be suing them. Class action lawsuit against all of academia right now. This has been going on for many, many years. And if they say they couldn't, I didn't know anything about this. No, that's not true. I sent this to almost every university, Harvard, Yale. I mean, just name one. Name one. So I know here I am complaining again, but that's true. And if they want to say it isn't true, tell me it isn't true. Tell us, oh, you didn't tell me. Good. Here it is. Let's talk. What do you think? I can forgive. I can even forgive Yale. It's very, very difficult. I don't know. Maybe I can't go that far. But anyway, let's see. Now, some are seeing the truth. The truth, and Roger says thank you to Jesse Garant and Associates, my very good friends. Recreating the organic crystals in the fleshy tissue. I did this in my lab. It took 6 months. I made my own. And it's a very, very simple process. Very simple. Another video on the electrical factors that are in nature, which is the telluric currents that actually happen. There's always telluric electrical currents going through the waters in the earth. So the waters, I'm not going to bother to go through all that stuff. But it's a bit of an electrical process as well. The lab report and all other information, docs and videos relating to discovery on the mudfossils.com. Well, I had to take that down too. They destroyed that. So that's it. Now, that is the introduction to my book. If you want to buy it, it's 99 cents. I don't know. I really forgot the whole thing, to be perfectly honest with you. But that's it right there. All right. Time for reality. I'm sorry I keep whining, but I don't know what else to do at this point. You can only go so many years and then you die. And I'm getting pretty close to that spot. I don't want this to just get forgotten like Velikovsky. Like I said, one of the most intelligent people I've talked to in years. I said, you ever hear of Velikovsky? Nope, never heard of him. That struck me right through the heart, man. And this is not going to stand. I will not let that man be destroyed the way they did to him. You look him up. You look him up. Worlds in collision. And you won't believe what happened 3,500 years ago on this planet, which destroys every little bit of what they are teaching you by your professors and your highly paid institutions. And I'm sorry I have to keep going down this path every time, but you could see what I've been through. And if you think I just have to sit on the sideline and say, oh, they'll be nice, they'll come around, oh, yeah. No, never, ever. And I will fight this fight until I have the last breath of air in me, and I got a feeling I will still be fighting. Because it's just like wars on Earth. They just never, ever, ever end. Because there's bullies. There's arrogant ones that want to dominate. And once they get control, you live under their thumb. Now, I know I complain, and I'm sorry for doing that, and I didn't mean to be so nasty the last couple of statements, but look at this. I put in Roger Spur, that's me, Velikovsky, Minds in Collision. Minds, that's the name of my book, Minds in Collision. I come up with all this stuff. I'm not even here. I don't show up. Why don't I show up? I have to come down here to where, why isn't it, Anyway, I want to apologize for being nasty. I don't mean to be nasty. I just don't know. I'm at my wit's end at this moment. So hopefully the school thing is going to work out. And once again, when I reflect back on it, I know and I understand the position that these people are in that have become the dominators, really, of, if you want to call it that. You can look at it that way. You could just say that they're the teachers, they're the authority, they're the ones that the ones that are in control, and they absolutely don't want to lose control of that. Now, for me, I would have thought that in the academic and in the thought arena, it would be acceptable to investigate this and then just continue their way, but in a whole, because this opens up gigantic, and the light research we have done is absolutely stunning, and Fermilab refuses to engage. We have found the Muon, absolutely no question. No question. Fermilab is looking for that. It's a black ball muon. It does nothing when it concusses. The white ball explodes into what they call electron showers. We have photographed that. They are back-to-back black and white particles. The black one does nothing. That is the muon. The white one explodes like a bomb. The leading tip vibrates and wobbles and spins because it is the concussive one, the trailing one, because it's coming this way. Now, here's what happens when it explodes at the venturi, which is right here. It separates the black ball from the white ball. So there is your muon, there is your electron showers. This Fermilab makes fun of me. I think they were making fun of me. They're saying, oh, you can't believe anything these people are saying, and he was walking around like a little robot-looking guy and laughing and saying, whoa, you can't believe these silly people. Well, I'm showing you something you can believe. There's the particle right there. And there's the particle light accelerating. There's the particle pulling itself out of the wave. The particle is magnetic. It creates a wave in front of it. Particle-wave duality. Everything in the air glows because it has magnetic particles in it that are pushing against these magnetic particles, which I just showed you, which are these magnetic particles. This is a particle nobody has a clue about, even me. Now, This over here shows you that light can slow down too. We sped it up, we can slow it down. We can do anything with light we want. It's spinning to the right, it's drifting to the left. The blue you don't see quite as spectacular as the red because the red is very less energetic. The blue is kind of, I don't know, maybe we could get Rodney Warren is doing all the shots on this. He came up with the Venturi just by accident, and then I worked with him many years ago. We've been working on this for a long time. We had this long ago, 5, 6 years ago. And I have the videos on all that too. And I sent this all off to, I actually took a course at the University of Geneva in Switzerland, or wherever they are. I don't even know where the hell they are. It was online through Coursera. And they were nice, just like Salzburg, only as soon as I presented my evidence, they said, ooh, that's interesting. We'll follow you on YouTube. I'm not kidding you. That's what they said. I said, you serious? You don't want to see this? No, that's okay. We'll follow you on YouTube. So what do you do about this kind of stuff? And Fermilab won't respond. I'm showing them exactly what they're asking for. How do you break into the world of silence? When you have no voice, you have no voice. And I'm in the world of where everybody's supposed to be heard. Freedom of silence is what I call it.